It's Friday.
It's Friday now.
Ah,
Congrats, guys! You survived another week.
hey, I feel like we need a medal for this week. What a roller coaster. Let's just say that.
The last 2 weeks. Also, I haven't seen you for a few days.
I know it's been weird.
Yeah, I know.
Look at that, Mark straight in the chat. I'm sure that's sarcasm. Like, who's in the cooler today?
Go on then, Mark. Don't actually. Yeah, no, don't give it away.
Don't-
Say
don't-
hi in the chat.
We
Oh,
know you know.
Hello, everyone. Tell us where you're joining from. How was your week from
yeah.
1 to 99? And how was your week from 1 to 99, Wes?
I'm in highs always, mate. Like I'm doing good. I
You're in
started
high
off
or you're high? Those are two different things.
both, but I started off rough, and I've peaked. I think I'm good. I'm in like high
Yeah.
90s. Yeah.
How are you, Ash? How's
Yeah.
your week? What is your score, Wes, from 1 to 99 in terms of week?
91.2.
Wow, fucking high. Ash?
Mine's 9.3.
From 1 to 99.
Oh,
He got lost. He got lost, mate.
yeah, I got lost with the numbers.
Oh, we got Cincinnati,
It is.
US in the house.
Yeah, Erin's cool. I met her this week. She's lovely. Mark's still
Steve
in
is back.
Steve is back
Steve
on.
is back in the audience. If you didn't check the last water cooler, Steve Johnson was here, so check that out. Mark,
Nico is here representing Kypreos. Go Team Cyprus. Well, guys, before we go, yalla yalla yalla, bada bada bada, chop chop chop. What is the water cooler for the people joining us for the first time?
So
Wes, you go. Also, Wes, you forgot a space in between your name and surname.
Oh, I meant to do that.
You meant to do that. Wes and Stock all together.
Now, the cooler came from us just talking shit one year, basically through lockdown, didn't it? And we decided to move this into society. And the idea is that we get a random person on that's going to chat shit around a water cooler, kill some time on a Friday afternoon, somebody you've not really met, but you're going to learn something new. And that's basically how the premise works. So we won't
Yeah.
expose the guest, although some naughty little guest that we've got on this week probably did. And they're probably smiling in the camera, and I can see them in the green room now giggling like little school children. But yeah, they exposed it early. But normally you don't know. So you rock up.
Secret guest.
Yep.
The topics are always around business, brand, marketing. We had Rory Sutherland, we had Martin Neumeyer, we had Chris Doe, we had Matt Davis, David Acker, we had the guys from Dixon Baxi, we had the guys from Ragged Edge, Max Octignon. We had some really, really, really awesome guests that honestly is very, very hard to get. We're getting them. We are booked until spring next year as well. Every other Friday happening here, live, raw, unfiltered. So yeah, join us. And also YouTube, you could also find the recorded episodes as well. But you never know who you get. But I wish I could tell you who's coming next because it's gonna be really, really good. Now, with further ado, who's doing the intro today?
Ash, as always. It's always
Ash.
I
Okay.
can do it.
Sorry for that. Ash is gonna do the intro. It's not as
Sorry,
good as
I was
when
just
we do it,
waiting-
but it's
I was
okay.
just waiting for you to stop rabbiting on, Martin.
Yeah, I'll stop. I'll actually mute myself as well.
No, don't do that. But you're right. We do have exceptional guests, and this week is no exception. So the topic this week: what visionary leaders really get right about brand. And a spoiler there: it's not just the external stuff. Best leaders know brand is culture, behavior, and how you show up every single day. Our secret guests today are two. They live and breathe that world. They've shaped brands across industries, advised founders, execs teams, built a reputation for pushing companies to think bigger and lead braver. They are also best-selling authors of the amazing book called Rare Breed. Please welcome the inspiring, the legendary, the pioneering duo behind one of the most respected brand and culture agencies on the planet. Co-founders of Motto. Give it up to Sunny and Ashley, everyone.
Hello. Oh man,
Welcome
what
to the
what an intro, Ash. Thank you so
How
much.
did you like that violin playing from Ash?
That was beautiful, Martin. Thank you.
Come on.
Beautiful.
It's tight in here today, huh?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah. We're
Feels on
cozy.
point.
We're getting
Well,
cozy.
it's all true, ladies. It's all true.
Oh, thank you.
are very well respected in the space. I mean, over 20 years, right?
Yeah, been
Yeah,
time.
we celebrated 20 years in March of 2025. So, and we launched that with our 20-year campaign that we did. You can check it out at xx.wearemotto.com. But it was all about 20 years of big ideas, and yeah, so the team pulled all that together. It was really cool to be a part of that.
It looks and feels like you just started yesterday, isn't it?
It does feel that way. Yeah.
Some
We're
days,
constantly
yeah.
say we're just getting started, and it's been, 20 years of a lot of ups and downs, a lot of evolution that we've had in our company, but somehow it just feels like there's still so much more to do.
Yeah.
So it's a good feeling.
Listen, give us a bit of that, because we obviously know you really well, right? I mean, we talked many times. We follow your work. I think your website is one of those ones that I'm always curious to go and see what you guys are up to on that side of the world. But give us a brief, quick rewind of motto of your work and what you're doing and how it evolved and so on, so everyone knows more about you. Yeah, more about your
Yeah.
work as well.
Well, we kicked off in 2005, and probably most notably about our story is that we started with $250 and bootstrapped the company with no former business experience. The two of us were, I think, 20 in our early 20s. Actually, I think was 22 at the time we launched Motto, and we really began as a kind of a purpose-driven design studio where we worked with leaders around defining purpose and defining vision, and then sort of really scaled the company into a kind of an intimate boutique with primarily working with leadership teams. And so we were really advising leadership at the highest level to sort of help them set the directions of their companies. And then over time sort of evolved the studio and expanded the studio, probably most notably over the last, I would say 7 to 10 years has probably been a sort of a sharp upward motion in terms of like being able to scale us and scale our team into now having a global footprint and working with organizations all around the world. Probably the biggest evolution I'd say is that Ashley and I are less involved in the kind of the day-to-day doing of the work, and now really set the direction, the compass of the company day to day, and the strategy of the company versus the work of our clients. And we've built an incredible team. I would put us up against anybody in terms of we're small but mighty, but incredibly talented and extremely experienced in what our team does. And yeah, it's been a really exciting journey, and probably shifted to tech and innovation most notably over the last couple of years. Most of our clients are in that tech and innovation space, and are extremely visionary and really changing the way the world works.
And Sunny, just to build up on that, like I'm out of curiosity, really, was there a specific initiator or factor of that upward scale that you mentioned 7-8 years ago?
Our book was probably the biggest. I would say, Ashley, like the biggest kicking off point into a different level. Simply because the book was not a branding book. The book was about differentiation and ownability of you and of your own brand and who you are as a leader. And it just sort of threw us into a bit of a different stratosphere in terms of our audience grew. Our audience grew from just brand into really about visionary leadership and culture. And because of that, it really just enhanced our platform and sort of shifted the agency's visibility to a new level. Ashley, would you say that was kind of a pivotal point, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah. And, I think it's just always the ambition that Sunny and I have somehow maintained across all these years. We have a pretty crazy ambition. And so as time has gone on and it's carried us forward, we keep wanting to do bigger and bigger things. And I think, that the book was definitely a pivotal moment when we decided, the book was published about 5 years ago. And when we decided that we were going to write it, it was many years before that. And I think that the idea of becoming authors, the idea of becoming, what is known as thought leaders in industries, and, someone who has something to say, was really important for us. And I think it put us into a different lane altogether, and sort of really kick-started Motto as an agency. We started working with, of course, this book landed on the desks of executive teams and folks from all the big companies, and it really introduced us to, a fantastic new world and into an upper echelon of thinking that we've brought Motto into as a result.
Yeah, and our team too. Like I would say, like our team has been phenomenal, and I think our work has been able to achieve the levels that it has because of our team. Where you're only as good as the team around you, and I would, as I said, I think our team is just the best on the planet, and I think they really have been able to move the needle for Motto in ways that are maybe even more ambitious than we originally thought. And I think that's the most exciting part of it. I was listening to another founder who was a founder who turned CEO. And there's this theory about you start off being a really good founder. You start off being really good founders and really good visionaries, and you know how to run your company extraordinarily well because you know all of the temperature points of every single aspect of your business. But at some point, you have to, you can't always be just the founder and the visionary. You actually have to become a CEO. And most really visionary founders are not great CEOs. And so that's taken us some time of like how to learn how to to people who have done every aspect in our own business. How do you actually grow that in a way where you become you start to take a different shape within your own company, and how you lead and manage people at that level, and how do you build the kind of culture that you want, and all those things that like nobody teaches you. You have to kind of learn, and that's probably been the most exciting piece of everything that we're doing, is actually getting to know that part of how to be great CEOs of the company.
So on that, Sonny, like where was that inspiration? Where did that come from? Like, was it planned, or did it just organically kind of align and you started driving in that direction?
I think as a business scales, you're pushed into that seat, and you have to change the gear, and you have to go to a different gear altogether. And it's a gear that most of the time, if you've been, in our case, right, I can only speak for us, but like we started very young. We never worked for anybody else. We've never worked for anybody else. So there's no real, I got fired from every job I ever worked with, from the time I was 15. And then after that, I didn't work for anybody else. I've only worked for us. But the reality is that there's a different calling, a different gear that you have to go up into that there is no handbook for. You just learn by doing, and you learn by taking all the black eyes and trying to figure it out. But it is a very different place to be. Ash, I know you. I'm just going to say to Ashley, I know that her being kind of a strategist and moving from a strategist to a chief of strategy for the company, not the client, is a big transition too.
Don't you think there's like some beauty in that though? Like what you're saying, that because you've had no prior experience, it's you doing it your way, and which is naturally going to allow you to break barriers because there's no one telling you no one holding you back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We run a lot on our own intuition, right? And sometimes we're very good at that, and sometimes your intuition isn't quite right, and you need that direction. Like we it's a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways, right? You don't have that guidance from somebody who's been there, done that before, but then you also have the beautiful kind of aspect of what happens when you figure it out for yourself, and you really come from the school of hard knocks. You learn it the hard way, and there's a certain necessity, I think, to struggle through your learning, and not to just be given that education, but to learn it yourself. And I think that is a lot of ways what makes Motto so inherently unique and different, is that it doesn't come from someone else kind of pulling us forward. It has come from our own learnings and experiences, trying to guide our company in the best way that we know how at any given moment, and which is constantly changing. So it's a really unique experience when you look back on it.
And lastly on that, like we're a trio, right? We've we've had to kind of learn to deal with each other, and I'll say that politely, over the last kind of 2 years. Right.
Right.
Still very big
It's
personality.
mostly me and Ash having to deal with Wes. That's what he wanted to say.
To be honest,
I can
Full
feel that. I
disclosure.
can feel. Look, Ash almost ran
Thank
me
you.
over in 2008. I think it was. So yeah,
we've
there's been a
definitely
little
had
bit
our
of that.
dog fights too. There's no perfect harmony.
but that's what I was
right?
going to say. Like the way we work is actually, yes, we're all kind of big personalities, and we're quite opinionated, and we all have a vision, but we manage to kind of make it work because we challenge each other positively.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask that: is that part of your journey? Is that part of what
Oh
your
yeah,
success is?
yeah. I mean that's having the safety and the psychological safety to be able to do that, to be able to say what you really feel,
100.
and be able to safely do that. Without. I mean, of course, it might be a fight, it might be a disagreement, but then you also realize you begin to respect the gifts of each person, right, and what they bring to the table, and knowing that the three of you in this case, right, are you're bringing different elements to the dish. And that is a huge advantage. It's such a huge advantage. Like, I am not a great strategist. I am not your how person. I am your why person. Ashley is all day long really a strategist at heart and an idea person. And we're both very visionary together. And so, there's some really power in that. And once you actually learn, for us, it was maturity, right? We were really young and we're fighting a lot in the early days because we just didn't know how to be a good teammate to anyone. Nobody teaches you that, right? You have to learn how to be like a good teammate. And that's something that actually is a big part of this. Is sometimes people aren't taught how to actually be in a team or even work in a team or be a good teammate. And so once you learn that, you're able to really show up for others in a different way, and they're able to show up for you. And so I think that's a huge power in what different people bring to that workflow. And then you begin to respect it and need it in order to kind of really succeed. So, and I've seen that with you guys too, which I think is really cool.
It's also a value that a lot of people don't like. They misplace. Like, if you've got 3 minds coming at thing, you're paying for 3 people in a nutshell.
That's right. Yeah, you don't want somebody sitting over there just like a wallflower. You have to be a contributor. But if you're all very strong personalities, you have to learn where those moments are.
And like you said, it's like you roll over when you realize that you're not as strong at some things, but you also, you challenge each other at the right moments. And I think, it's I think another thing as well, I don't know if that happened with you guys, but it's like delegation and like learning when to step back, learning when to let go. Like my anal, like OCD, like tendencies, like I had to let go of that shit. Like,
so challenging. Yeah.
And you can see Martin laughing because of Ash, and it's normally Ash that drives my OCD mental. But you've accepted.
He's like, yeah, I got it. I do. He's just nodding in like absolute, yeah.
I swear he does it on purpose, though, man.
Yeah, I'm going to dig the dirt on him in a bit. I've got 2 questions, 2 related questions for you.
Come on.
Being from the creative space and understanding brand, you obviously you do it well. You know what a brand or what a visionary leader is. First, explain to the audience in your words what a visionary leader is, and then second is, how do you start persuading clients, or is there a point where you persuade clients to have that mindset as opposed to a short-term kind of performance marketing mindset? Because I think that is a challenge that we all come across, and a lot of us find hard to, navigate, really.
Yeah. Well, the definition, the way I would define a visionary leader is someone who sets an audacious vision and direction for the company and mobilizes and aspires believers to that vision to help them want to march and carry that flag with you through the highs and lows. And visionary leaders in particular carry a pretty significant weight because they're largely misunderstood. They're absolutely necessary, and they can be a bit quirky, because they're so far often ahead of anyone around them that most of the time they look like a Mad Hatter. And you need what I call you need what I call stabilizers around a visionary, because if you had a room full of visionaries, or you had a boat full of visionaries, guess what? You're probably going to go in circles. So you need a visionary, and then you need mobilizers and stabilizers within that team, because what they ultimately do is they're the how people. They help you get to the top of the mountain, right? The visionary just says which mountain to climb. If there's 4 mountains, they're going to say that one, right? Even if they all look the same, they're going to point to one and say, that's the one we should climb, right? But and that's what's really interesting about visionary leadership, is they're largely misunderstood, but they're absolutely fundamental and necessary to companies who need something to go to work for.
They're crazy until they're not, isn't it?
They're crazy until they're not, because most of the time they're crazy but true. And that's the really interesting part of a visionary leader, is they seem mad, but what they're actually saying is very, very true. And it's just that a lot of times they're ridiculed before they're revered.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of examples of when you've seen, say, a visionary idea initially seemed like too far out there within a company, and ultimately it kind of transformed a brand and the whole team, and got all of those kind of stabilizers and mobilizers rallying around that vision?
Ashley, what do you think?
My first inclination is to talk about Elon Musk, which we know he's an extraordinarily polarizing individual. But this vision that we're going to live on Mars one day is just absolutely insane. Yet somehow there's this community of believers and people who support the entire ecosystem of Elon's thinking. And you could argue this many different ways, whether it's healthy or not, or whether it's good or not, or all that. But at the end of the day, you know, the work that he does to ultimately, with all of his companies, to ultimately kind of have this huge, enormous vision that is so hard for us as normal people, right, to understand or comprehend, or to even say that's not possible. But there's such conviction and such confidence and such a huge vision there, that there is this charge forward to that. And you're either gonna, you believe in that to such a degree that you support it, you understand it, or you don't. And that's really also a huge component, I think, of vision, is that not everyone needs to believe it. You just need the right people to believe in it and to support it. So I think of people like that, who just feel so far out there and so incredibly wild in their thinking. But there's an inherent genius there that is moving the world forward, whether we want to struggle through that or not.
It's interesting. I think there are a few interesting sticky comments in that. I think one of the first thing you said, polarizing figure, and I think those are the figures that work, right? If no one loves you, if no one hates you, no one really loves you, right? So you're gonna have to stand for something, and I think that is an important component of a visionary person. And since the beginning of time, human yearned for visionary stories. Religion, in a way, is a visionary story. Sport is a visionary story. Family and marriage is a visionary story. So why shouldn't brand and business too? Because we are driven by this faraway concept that someone is able to articulate it, and we believe it, and we will come to you on this journey, even if there are lots of unknowns.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You make a really good point there about the need for believers. Visionaries have to have believers, because every great idea starts with somebody saying, I have an idea. I think those are the 4 most powerful words in the world. I have an idea. But then you have to tell somebody that idea. And then you have to have people that mobilize around that idea. Then you have to have people who help you build that idea. And not only do you have to have multiple people help you build that idea, but you have to have them build it with you over a long period of time. especially if it's audacious, like a reusable rocket. Like people thought he was mad. But yet here he is, and he's proved it. And now it's a race to space, right? How many people can we put up into space as quickly as possible?
I think the interesting thing, though, about what we all probably know to be true in the work that we do is how few companies are actually led by extremely compelling visions or clear visions. You get a lot of this wallpapery vision, a lot of this vision statement-y vision. And that's the big struggle, I think, in the work that we all do, is trying to even help our clients think bigger or expand beyond what feels obvious, or visions that are already, even sometimes people call a vision something that already exists. Like how is it a vision if it's already here? And I think that there's a lot of that is true. I mean, research suggests that like 1% of companies are truly accurately led by true visionary leaders. So what does that say? That says that these companies are being guided by what?
Yeah.
And, on that, Ashley, like, just for our audience, like, what would you say then makes a good vision and a bad vision, right? Like, so if we're trying to find what you're explaining to me is like your ideal clients are these wild visionaries who's got these crazy ideas that you want to rein in and create something actionable at the back of it. Like, what to you then is a good vision, and what's a bad vision?
Well, I mean, a vision is a picture of the world that you want to create for the people that you hope to impact. Right? So in its most basic form, it's the clarity of what that thing is. And again, it's this concept like, oh, I have a vision. And then when you probe on that, with most people, it just completely falls apart. There's really nothing under the surface of that. Well, what does it mean? Like you get a lot of unclarity. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that clarity of thought and that big driving ambition to, and I know it sounds cliche, how is the world going to be better and different because your vision is somehow impacting it? And it's incredibly interesting to think about the companies that we work with, and the companies that we know about. And most companies on earth these days are just surviving in the moment. They're really not. They're not run by much of a vision. It's just trying to like have the company exist. People may or may not understand truly why. People may or may not truly understand what it is they're driving for. And that's why you get a lot of, I think, dissatisfaction with work, is because there's nothing there that's really calling you forward or calling that bigger feeling inside, that bigger ambition that is so important when we think about how humans actually are shaping our future as we're living our, in the moment.
But actually, then
I also think it's egoless. So I was just going to say that I think a lot of vision statements that we see, and particularly are very selfish and very short-sighted, actually. And there are also a great deal of confusion between a vision statement, a mission statement, or a purpose statement. We see that quite a bit in organizations, which I'm sure you guys do too. And just the education of it is actually really, really important. How do you codify the differences between those things? And then more importantly, if you think about what a vision statement actually is, it's sometimes what you'll find is it's driven by things like profit or, something that's driving somebody in the company that's sort of very, very insignificant. And what ends up happening is it's not actually selfless. And I think that's a big part of what a vision statement extraordinarily does. It has to be more than something that lives in a pitch deck, right? It has to be embodied and lived and valued by everyone in your company. It has to be championed within your company, has to be led by everybody. And they have to bleed for you in that way. And I think that's when you see that in companies, when you really, truly feel it, it's very special and it's very significant. It is more often not that way. And so I think we have a great deal of work, not only in our line of work, this team's line of work, but just in general. I think we have a great deal of work to do in organizations to actually understand just the fundamentals and try to get those things extraordinarily good so that you can be extraordinarily effective with the people that you ask to come support you to build the thing you want to build. And I'm not saying that we always get it right. It's just more that because it is really hard to do, and it's hard to do extraordinarily well. But if you can simplify it, right? If you can make it meaningful to the people that actually you need to make it meaningful to, it can be very empowering. It can be an incredible through line for everything you do.
Yeah, because isn't it most vision statements like just being the best of this, or being the leading X and X, right? It's like that's the vision, and that's what Sonny's talking about. That's very selfish. That's me, what I want to do, what we need to do. It's not about great visions, are not about me.
Yeah, and I know she's got a
great visions are about us and what we will and them. What we're going to achieve for them, right? And the people we are going to help achieve that. We're going to build that world.
I wanted to do that for the audience. I know Ash has got a question, but let's just close that loop. Like, can we just set that record straight that like any lazy strategist in the listening or in the chat, like to be the best, to be the fastest, to be the XY, it's just lazy. It's a race that everyone's trying to win, and it's a race that hardly anybody can win because there's too many competitors trying to do it. So let's navigate away from that and let's be something meaningful, and let's
double click on that, man. Double click on that.
Yeah, man. So being the best is not a vision. There, Matt Davis is just echoing our voices from Wales or wherever he is. Bless him.
With his sheep.
Come on, Ash.
Black sheep.
Let's go.
I don't hear Ash.
Oh, he's got no mic. Look.
There you are.
I'm here. So you guys have been obviously 20 years in the game. You've attracted the right type of clients. Some of our audiences have smaller studios. They're just starting up. What are the kind of red flags in your earlier days when kind of taking on clients have you seen? And how have you made the decisions of not working with those clients, or maybe persuading them clients to think differently, as opposed to just taking on the client just because it's revenue and it's money?
That's a big question. Ash, do you want to take that one? Or
look, I don't think there's anything wrong in your early years as you're developing to take anything and everything. Because how else the hell are you going to get your experience if you just wait for the perfect thing to come along? You're not going to, that doesn't happen. That doesn't just happen. That happens through and over time as you even define yourself more. You start to really get that, but you don't get that through just sitting around waiting for that perfect client to fall in your lap. So we did everything, anything and everything. We did the $250 logos. We did, the small mom and pop stores. Like we did all of the
everything
stuff, right, in the early days. And that's how we got an incredible amount of experience, because we have done everything. And only through that doing everything, where you're really just trying to learn and soak up as much as you can from as many different experiences as you can, do you start to really click into your own mind, oh, this is really what is important. Or, oh, this, you spot your patterns, right? And it's through the pattern recognition of doing all the shit where you start to then be able to effectively hone in on your zone of genius. And it's through that process and through our own journey through that where it's gotten us to where we are. If we hadn't done that, and if we just waited around for the perfect thing to happen, we would have been out of business in no time. So, there's something about that I think is really important for most people starting out, is to just say yes to every opportunity. That's the only way you can start saying no to some opportunities later.
I can spot a spike ball better than I ever could before.
Totally.
Right. Like, so I know now, weirdly, like if you get really good at this, you begin to sort of, not to use any kind of sports analogies, but you can almost feel the way the wind is moving and the just the air in the room. And you just pick up on this kind of this feeling that you have where you're like, I've seen this before, or I understand this, or I know that this is a spiked ball. The interesting thing about our work now is that what used to ruffle me and I would say no to, I've realized that I am not the final decision maker. So now we've gotten to a point where we actually vet that through our broader team, because the person that's actually going to work with that client is not me anymore. And so even if I bristle, I'm like, okay, what am I feeling? And then, okay, maybe I can't work with this person, but my team might be able to work incredibly well with them. Now, of course, there's real folks that you're sort of like, no matter how much money you put on the table, this is just not a good fit. But then there's other scenarios where I might have bristled, or I might have felt like, oh, there wasn't great chemistry there. But then my account manager or director of client experience is like able to lead and manage this client through an incredible experience. Matt, who we've worked with, who I know has joined this call, is an incredible facilitator and has worked with personalities of all shapes and sizes that I think, takes a real refinement. It's like refining your palate over time and just getting good at knowing what works for you and what doesn't. And that's individual for each person and every team. But, there's some things we have in Motto where we're like, this is kind of a line for us. And I think it's really important, no matter if you're small or you're a bigger agency, to define those things, because if they go against your core values, then that's what you need to be thinking about. You should measure everything, vision and values.
Where was the echo coming from?
I hear it too.
Let's have a elimination process. Is there any echo now?
No.
So who is it then?
Sunny, speak again.
It's not
Is
me.
it me?
See,
It's always
It's Sunny and Martin, I think.
they're just moaning.
It's always Wes. It's always Wes. I have a question about, so what is actually your role? So what do you do in this vision? So are you shaping it, extracting it, facilitating it, creating it? Help us understand your role as a vision-driven group of talented brand people.
So we have grown in our seats, if you will, to now where we used to be pointed one direction, we're now pointed into the company. So before we were pointed into clients and working with clients pretty on a day-to-day basis. And now we are primarily overseeing the work and part of the day-to-day work, but not in the work. So we're working on the business, so to speak, really setting the direction of the business and spending a lot of time there on like how Motto is seen reputationally and like where we're going and what's important to us and what kind of company do we want to be and what kinds of work do we want to take on, and also how do we want to be seen in the world. And so that's a great deal of our day to day. And of course we have direct reports and people that we work with across our front line, but generally speaking, our role has evolved, and we don't really work that often with our clients unless that's asked for, requested. Like I want to work with Sunny and Ashley, and then in that case we will.
Yeah.
And I would say
10x on
Sunny
the
is.
invoice.
Go ahead, Ash.
Yeah.
Go on.
I would also say, so Sunny and I we share. First of all, we share the same brain. And we both have a lot of strength in vision and operations. But Sunny, I would say, is really Motto's visionary, right? She is our dreamer. She is the person that is always generating. I say, like, I hear 6 big ideas before breakfast from her literally almost every single morning, right? And so she is our person who is figuring out our path forward and where we go from here and what the world looks like for Motto as an organization and for our people. I think that, in her situation, there's a natural sort of problem solving mode that I think a lot of founders, and especially visionary founders and visionary leaders, have, where they are so keen to attack and to identify and really solve problems. And so that is really her sweet spot as for us as Motto. She's also, tends to operate on high drive, high ambition, probably the person on earth that I know that has the most drive and ambition out of anyone I've ever met or have a personal relationship with. I mean, there's extreme passion there when it comes to our company and our potential and our possibility. And then my role in the company is more of an integration role, right? Like as our COO, I'm responsible for really trying to maintain that sense of glue that pulls the vision forward and enables that to happen through our culture, through our, teamwork, and through everything else. So there's like this, Sonny casting the vision, and I'm putting it very simply, to me kind of holding it together and beating that drum forward to make sure our leadership team and our team is really rowing in that direction pretty consistently.
On that note, in terms of motto's direction, is there like a new direction, or is it kind of moving in the same? Like, what has your vision changed is what I'm trying to get at.
I don't think so. I think what we really want, I mean, of course, like it evolves, as the team grows. But I think one of the things that we've always held dear and close is that we want to be small and mighty. And we want to be, we've never had ambitions to build some crazy juggernaut of a company. Like I want to know everybody I work with. And the other thing is, I think we want to be very meaningful. And I want that growth to be very meaningful because we are so culture first. We feel like everybody that you hire just adds something to the dish, right? They can change the dish. They can make the dish feel different, and so choosing carefully and being very mindful about that is something we've grown incredibly protective over time. And just to ensure that like we're creating kind of a special ops team. Our work, because we're unique in the fact that we've done so much leadership work, right? Ashley and I have done, 20 years of leadership alignment and deep leadership and culture work. It is different to a traditional branding agency in that way, where some people do 2 weeks of strategy. Like we go pretty deep, or try to at the most for most of our clients. And that's where we really shine and really thrive. And so just more of that, please. We want to just do more of that kind of work, really transformational work. And just with companies that we really believe that the beginning, middle, and end state that we can have and the impact that we can have on them, not just in the work that we do. And yes, we can design beautiful brands, but something much more molecular happens at that level where you're actually impacting the leaders of that company and you're impacting the culture of that company. And in that way, your work becomes incredibly deep and purposeful, because it's not just like, oh, let me make the brand. You're actually impacting them fundamentally across the strategic direction of their company and not insulating them, but preparing them for those external forces. And so for me, that's just where we continue to kind of like play that, but we're growing mindfully, but we are growing. But I think that just what it's allowed us to do is just have more impact. If anything, expanding the team has allowed us to just have more impact, because, we couldn't do it all before. And we were at some points doing it all before. And so now we're able to put people in place. I haven't been in a sales call in a really long time. I used to be the sales front door forever, and so it's amazing that I've got 2 people around me now on my team on the sales side that are, incredibly talented and dare I say, fundamentally like have moved Motto in directions that I probably couldn't have done had they not joined the team. So I think it's powerful what you can do with an incredibly tight-knit team of all stars who are absolutely phenomenal at their work.
Agreed.
And that's been the fun part, right? It's just like, let's run that for quite a while, because we can do a lot more with some pretty incredible people. And I love the team. I love having the team.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think there's also, I don't think we're ever not going to beat the drum that, brand companies treat brand like voice and visuals. They still do. Still do. And it is so much more than that. The people who know, it is so much more than that.
If you know,
you know. We're feeling that, this constant momentum to continue to just preach that sermon. And I think that the reason is because it makes companies so much more impactful and meaningful to the people that work for them. The world moves way too fast today for aesthetics and voice and stuff like that to anchor anything. What endures is meaning, right? And as we all know, brand is meaning. And so when you can use vision, culture, and brand and connect those things together, it becomes this shared logic that runs through everything inside of a company. It's culture, it's strategy, it's product, it's customer experiences, and it creates the cohesive, we call it an operating system, right? About brand. It's not just the thing that belongs in the marketing department that, you go to activate a campaign off at the back of or something like that. So it's really important for us as we think about our future and Motto's future, and what we're trying to do is like understanding that vision is always the thing that sets the direction. Culture is always the thing that shapes the behavior. Strategy is the thing that defines the choices that you make and the choices that you don't make. Your product expresses that value, and your experience really carries that out into the world. So when you put it all together and you understand how these pieces really work together, and how being a visionary at the helm of it is bringing that glue and that infrastructure together, it just becomes, when leaders see it like that, it opens up this whole new world for their companies, that brand stops becoming a marketing exercise, and it starts becoming the engine for the business. It's extremely powerful.
You can feel and hear the passion in everything that you both have said just in this call, and like we're almost on the hour, right? So it's been great to listen to all of that. And the thing is, this passion is not just for you guys, but you do it for the space, you do it for the industry as well. Obviously, your first book, Rare Breed, that was, of course, is visibility for you guys, but it taught the industry as well. On that note as well, we were speaking off air. You're writing another book, right?
Yeah,
we are.
Diddly.
We're writing a couple new books.
And first, why now?
It's
And what is these new
one? So the next book is kind of a pocket guide, if you will, and it's called Return on Vision: How Great Leaders Turn Ideas into Impact. And that book is about, we talk a lot about ROI. We don't talk a lot about ROV.
Mm-hmm.
And that book is about what is the return on a powerful vision, and how does it impact brand, and how does it impact culture? You touched about something really important. All three of you did, about what I think makes Motto really distinct. And that is that we are out there preaching the gospel about this, and have since 2005, about how important it is that brand does not belong to the marketing department. It is an operating system. It is an all-encompassing every aspect of who you are. And it's driven by leadership, and it's driven by vision. And we've been beating that drum for a very long time. And so this book is kind of a taste of that, of us moving into more of that direction and codifying it. And we just actually finished the covers a couple of weeks ago, and so it's going to be launched very soon. It's very, very cool, and I hope to share it with you guys, because I think it'll be a great read.
Can't wait. And then there's also the other thing that you're writing or releasing a report. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and who's that for?
Oh, Ash can talk about that.
Yeah, we're very excited. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be dropping our Future of Brand 2026 report. And it's going to be just chock full of insights and sort of field notes, as we're calling them, about what we're spotting is going to be really important and for companies and leaders to think about, to consider, and to get right next year across different fields of tech, culture, design, leadership. And then we've got 5 forces as well, that these things are kind of, predictions and necessities that leaders really need to think about and implement inside their companies to make their brand become the thing that really drives the business. And so we're very excited to do that. Future of Brand 2026 by Motto. It's been a fantastic collaboration that we've had over the past couple months to kind of pull all of this insight that we have learned this year, and that we're kind of forecasting for next year, into a report that is going to be available for everybody. We're going to, put it out to the world and let everybody chew on it.
Can you give
Sounds-
us can you give us any teasers? Right.
No dates, Ash. No dates.
I will tell
don't-
you that sometimes I was like, shit, why didn't we try to do this before the end of the year? I was like, this damn report. It's been a lot of work, but you know, it's like all those great things you wrestle forward are, because when you finally like get them out in the world, you're like, okay, you know, we did that. But yeah, it's very, very cool. We'll be actually teasing a little bit of it out over the next couple of weeks, so you'll see it very, very soon. But you know, people that want to go and check out Return on Vision, you know, would be sign up for our newsletter and get in on that. Our next book is Little Book of Big Ideas. That's coming out. So yeah, we're just scrolling away, writing and trying to you know, get our ideas out, because we think very at an IP level, and we always have. And I think that that's important. You know, it's always important to kind of like put your point of view out.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else? Like before?
Yeah, there's probably more. Yeah. Matt Davies might get mad at me if I don't mention Vision Camp, but you know, Matt and Ashley and I are really dear friends and collaborators, and we launched something 2 years ago called Vision Camp, and we're about to fire that back up. So that'll be very cool. You know, that's a kind of a leadership workshop for visionary leaders to really help them codify their visions. And so we'll be doing kind of Vision 2026, and that's a fun one, you know, because it's really unique and really distinct in the landscape. You know, there's lots of brand workshops. There's not a lot of vision workshops. And so maybe we should talk to you guys about that. You should join in on that. Do a little co-collab.
Yeah,
would be fun. But yeah, for sure. You know, that's a fun one.
We flirted in the past, you know that, right?
I know we have. We
never made it work.
We didn't. I know, but I've always thought about you in the back of my
one
mind.
drink away, I think.
Like the one that got away, you know.
this time. Right. So let's get a little bit like under the hood then on that note. Like,
yeah.
Like, we have chatted in the past. We've had conversations. I've never really got to know you that well though. So when we get out, and look at you getting nervous now. But like, we always like to ask our little, you know, I guess a few little kind of intimate questions. I've watched lots of interviews on you.
Yeah.
Seen you on Level C. I've chatted to you, but like, let's dig a bit. So like, if you were to sing in the shower, if you had a ballad, what would it be?
It depends.
Come on. What in the mood you're in now?
It depends on what
would it be?
Oh.
First thing that came in mind.
Oh gosh.
I know Judy quite well. She'll have a ballad. Like she'll have.
She got a ballad.
Hey man, I'm known for my Mariah Carey.
There we go.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you gotta do something.
It's that time of the year again.
Yes,
No.
I don't know.
She's back.
You're
back.
listening to Morgan Wallen. Let's be real.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't sing in the shower. I think in the shower. So if I sing in the shower, I am gonna not get my thinking cap on, which is where all my good ideas come actually in the shower. So
mine too. It's weird. Like cleaning my teeth or in the shower. Like I think start to happen. It's
Yeah, we have this funny saying that when we get stuck on something, we go and hold baby ducks. And I'm not like real baby ducks. Like if you go to like a tractor store or somewhere where they have little baby ducks, if you are stuck, you go and you just hold a puppy or you hold a duck and the next thing you know, you're like, there it is. And we've done it multiple times and it really does work. Like when
this is a world first. This is why
it's like breaking. Yeah.
This is mad value right here, guys.
This is mad value.
Like,
for anyone, go hold baby ducks.
Yeah. We found out Roger Martin loves reggae and loves reggae.
I love reggae.
But no, that was a world first. Now we're saying you guys in your little quiet space, thinking space is like duck holding. That's a
duck holding. Yep. And reggae, that's a good one. Yeah.
You know what? Can I ask you a random question? Because I probably won't get
this is not your time, Ash. This is Wes's time, mate.
Hold on.
Oh yeah,
it's a very random question, and it's on the topic of music. But you guys were on the Breakfast Club, which is the hip hop radio. So
and they know Damon too. So we have a Damon.
Yeah. We know Charlemagne well. He endorsed our book. Yeah. So Charlemagne the God. We were on that show. And I'm a musician. So I've been a musician all my life. And so I just float in those circles. Fun fact, many people don't know this, but Ashley and I actually got our start in music and working on music album covers and band brands and all sorts of stuff. So that was like our first stint into the foray of graphic design in the early days was we did iconic artists and brand covers.
Amazing.
We
Yeah.
got connected through Charlemagne because we invited him and did an incredible interview when we had our Rare Breed interview series. And Charlemagne was the guy that we talked to about our virtue
first
of
guest.
rebellious.
Right.
And I mean, what a rebel, if there is one on earth. I mean, Charlemagne is it. And so that just grew into a great relationship.
friendship.
And then we got invited to the breakfast
Amazing.
as a result.
So lastly, before we go, like I like to flip it, and I like to say, if you guys got a question for us, like on the fly, come on.
Ooh.
Come
What have you guys, in terms of like you coming together and working together, and you saw that dynamic, like what was the reason that it was the three of you? Like, why did you say the three of us, like these guys, like I want to work with these guys? Like, what was the kind of the spark to that? And then
It's very simple.
what do you think is the gift that you guys like bring to the table in terms of what you offer?
The gift is
The first answer is alcohol tolerance. So we can all drink lots and hold each other. And the
still have
second one that
Hold each other.
yeah.
and the second one is that you need two people to manage West. So that's what we're doing.
Got it.
Ash
Okay.
and Martin are
Okay.
West management.
All right. But I mean, seriously though, I know that's probably, there's truth to that, but like, I mean, what do you think that you guys bring to the table when you work with clients? Like what would you say is that zone of genius for the three of you?
Go on.
In
Would
the
you
room.
want me to do it? Ash, do it?
Yeah, you go for it, man.
Whoever.
So I think I touched upon it earlier. Like when we again, I guess don't know how deep or far back to go, but obviously we're all taught by the same guy. We've got the same like school of thought. We've all got very like powerful backgrounds and insight. I am too heavily influenced by music. I think you guys know that. It was the Wu-Tang theory brought us together. So like different brands coming together, working on one thing, going away and working on your own brands. So the RZA influenced that massively. And then I think it's a case of like the added value is that you've got three minds in a room. If we just take strategy or workshops as an example, when you're in a room with us, which is, nobody's really experienced it apart from client, but there's this mad dynamic. There's this very natural aura. There's this banter thing that's going on that a client really has to kind of get hold of early. Like we're going to take the piss out of each other. We're going to rip the shit out of each other in front of client. Like, and it's not,
Matt.
it's not, yeah. And I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I know Matt well.
Yeah, we have a crazy dynamic with
we
Matt,
have this
like
like
a
energy
chemistry.
that
Yeah.
goes, but because we're like so open and we treat this room like a safe space that for all of us in this room, we are in this together. We're helping you through. The value comes from where three minds are constantly challenging the work that's going on in real time.
I love that.
Right. So I always say, and I've always said this when I'm selling us three in, which I hate to do, but I'm doing it, is that when you've got me, it's me and you, right? And you're hiring me as the expert. So my insight on strategy telling you is the only challenge you're going to get. And because you've hired me, you're probably going to lean into me, right? So whatever I say, you're going to go with, unless you're really hesitant and resistant.
Yeah.
When you've got three guys, we're challenging each other on that final output. So before it's even left the room, we're walking out this room with an idea.
It's pressure tested.
Yeah. Real time. And then what we've actually allowed us to do, because we've got three agencies behind us, we can fast track stuff. So we then brought in this process. We were in client for one day. We step away from the client, start work on the actual real time playback. And then on day three, we're playing you back in. So on 2 days, a strategy is moving. Like we're working in with foundations to build on day two. We couldn't have done that without 30, 40, 50 people behind us, which we have in three agencies, right? So we can hyper accelerate. It's wild,
Nice. I like that positioning. I follow you guys, and it's really cool to see that dynamic, because I think it's really unique, and I think that in a world full of people calling themselves brand strategists, where there's so many of that, right? I think it's really hard to distinguish like what really you bring to the table, and I think that you guys just kind of have packaged yourself in a really interesting way. So.
Martin,
I that little plug there, but it was intentional.
Yeah. I truly believe also our ability, like human ability to collaborate it's actually really rare, to find people who are good at that. It's very rare to find somebody who truly will put their ego aside to let someone else shine or let the best idea shine if it isn't theirs. we have been doing this a long time, and it takes a very specific kind of person to be able to create that kind of space. And so kudos to you guys, because it's something that is very important to us at Motto as well. The diversity of thought, but the genuine diversity of thought, not this fake harmony shit, right? Where you're like, oh yeah, we're open, we're collaborative, but you actually find a lot of tension in the room with people who naturally are not. And it's very hard in that way to allow, the beauty of what actually generates from diversity of thought without
and you can expect
yourself.
100%. You can expect to what you were saying, right? That you have 20 years experience doing that, because I think as creatives, we tend to fall in love with our idea, right?
Yes.
And as strategists as well, there is confirmation bias. So you have that insight that you were looking for. Look, my strategy is correct, but because it's your baby. So I think as creatives, as strategists, you've got to walk the line for a really long time in order to be able to have that ability to fall out in love with your idea, or just treat them as concept. Like everything is a concept, it could work and it might work.
You couldn't have said that better. You couldn't have said that better. That is it's very direct.
It's so hard.
You work with people sometimes and you're like, oh man, like the air, you have just sucked all the air out of the room, because you're so fixated on your idea that you won't allow anything else, even though your idea just might, you should come into it thinking your idea might not be fully formed or ready or even the best. So, and that's really challenging, because I find that we've always been really hyper collaborative. Like I just love
I will drop an idea as fast as it comes, because I think ideas they're hugely valuable, but there's never one right thing. There's so many different ways to attack problems, and very rarely do you ever get the only idea that will work. There's lots of ways for things to work. And so we've just learned that over time that look, get yourself out of it. It isn't about you. This goes back to vision. You can't be a visionary if you're so self-centered that you can't allow anybody else to contribute to a vision either. So it's just hugely important. And I love that you guys have that as a value.
I must admit that energy, that mindset, that energy came from my New York life, right? I think just moving to New York when I did at 20 and realizing that I had to collaborate, I had to find people to work with, to leverage me, to kind of cleverly, strategically grow up that ladder, at such a naive, tender age. I came back to the UK and I was so shocked that here it's hard. I'd rather make $500 each than $1,000 on my own. But a lot of the mentality is, why am I letting you in? I want to take the grand.
Why am I letting you in? Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, and I think you just don't build anything in that way.
I don't think those kind of people get far. They might go places, but they never reach the full potential. And I just think you cannot reach full potential without people around you. Agreed. And the only way to get people that want to be around you is if you value the people that are around you.
Yeah, and you got to find them. You're looking.
Yeah, that comes back to that teammate piece of it, right? Which is, again, you're not trained to be a good teammate. You're not trained on how to do that. You have to learn how to be a good teammate. You have to learn how to be a good collaborator, and you have to also check yourself when you're not being one, because sometimes it's not always glaring. It's like sometimes it doesn't shout. It's just, you're like, fuck, I could have, I got really stubborn on that. Or I got, had a lot of teeth around this in terms of just whatever my idea is has to be the idea. And I think, you start isolating people in that way. And you can also create isolation within the company as well.
Gosh, this could be another episode.
Hey, that was good stuff. Let's do another one.
Topic.
We'll have a round 2 though when the book's out.
Round 2.
Next time you're not going to tell anyone, are you?
I won't let her get it out.
Go online. Let's go. Yeah, I completely forgot. Didn't get the memo. All right. Forgot. All right, cool. Thank you guys. Thanks for inviting us.
This
really fun.
You guys are class. Love you guys.
Man,
have
thanks.
a great day.
Love you guys.
Have a lovely weekend.
See y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, we could have gone forever.
Mate, you know what I'm loving here? We've got Web Summit people in the chat.
Have we?
We have brought the crowd. Christian is here talking about, the dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's there, man. Lovely guy. We've got all sorts in the chat today. It's kicking off. I'm loving it.
That's a good chat
Lots
today.
of people. Matt,
It's
Mark, Richard,
Lots of nuggets.
Erin.
I was also writing an article, funny enough, about a lot of the things that we're going to say now, especially that branding as the operating system. Just it's when people with the same mindset align, it's so easy. And I haven't met them before. I obviously following that work, but like I was not expecting to be so aligned.
Yeah, they're
crazy.
Wicked. They're wicked people.
They're class.
Right, on that bombshell.
Let's go get it. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and the guest for the next episode will be.